But the question remains, how many chemical weapons does Syria possess? And what would happen if Assad used them? It's a question I put a short while ago to Joel Rubin of the Ploughshares Fund.
They have the third largest stockpile in the world behind the U.S. and Russia, and they haven't signed the Chemical Weapons Convention. They have mustard gas, sarin, toxins that can be very lethal and deadly, and it's a grave concern.
There have been some fears expressed by Israel over the stockpile that you're talking about. The Israeli ambassador Michael Oren spoke on a U.S. network on Sunday morning. Let's take a listen to what he said. Let's watch.
Well, we're watching this situation very carefully, Chris. We've been watching it for many months now. It's not new to us. Syria has a very varied, deep chemical weapons program. It's geographically dispersed as well. And were those weapons to pass into the wrong hands, into Hezbollah's hands, for example, that would be a game changer for us. And I will tell you that we have a very clear red line about those chemical weapons passing into the wrong hands.
So there we heard the Israeli ambassador there talking about it being a game changer if those weapons end up in the hands of groups like Hezbollah. What does he mean by game changer?
But the regional dimension to this conflict is what scares most analysts, that the spillover effects into Turkey, into Jordan, into Lebanon, it can be very destabilizing. But now adding to this layer chemical weapons and Israel getting involved, for Israel to have Hezbollah on its northern border with 60,000 missiles aimed at it, the potential for their being chemical weaponized and tipped with chemical weapons is very scary. So Israel certainly knows what's happening on the ground in Syria. They have intelligence, certainly,
right,
and they're going to look to the international community to lead.
Do you think it'd get to the position where the people around Assad himself may feel that they've got nothing to lose, so let's unleash these chemical weapons?
Those around Assad, if they feel that they have a better chance of survival with the use of chemical weapons, then that may very well be the advice they could provide. They need to understand that there is no future for them in Syria or elsewhere if they do go that route.
On the other hand, it could be a bargaining tactic, couldn't it? You know, the Assad regime could say, well, you know, we'll take these off the table, but what are you going to give us in return?
It's certainly the chemical weapons that they've had, they haven't even acknowledged that they do have. And they have a very checkered history with weapons of mass destruction. And this type of negotiating, however, doesn't seem to be as strong a hand when Assad is engaged in such a violent civil war.
Okay, sir, let's leave it there. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.